So, God forbid, somebody who owns property dies when they still have minor children.
Sure.
How does that affect the whole process? I'm sure that adds another layer of complication.
Yes. So that ends up being, that can be a somewhat difficult situation. If you've got that specific situation, you're really just going to have to gauge what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
How old are the kids? A lot of it's going to turn on how old these kids are. I mean, if they're minors but they're all 17, it might be that might be a situation where it may be okay to go ahead and let everything run through probate. The 17-year-olds get on title. They turn 18 in a year. Then they're the age of majority. Then they can sign deeds and give it back to mom or dad or whatever. Mm-hmm. If you've got really young kids, the issue becomes what would necessarily happen if there's no will, there's no petition to sell, in a situation where you've got mom and dad are both on title, dad dies, half of his estate goes to mom, so mom now owns 75%, and then the minor children now own a quarter. So if you just let probate take its course, mom's going to be on title 3/4, and then these kids are going to be on title 1/4. So what ends up happening now is the only way to sell that property is you have to petition the court to become conservator and get the court's authority to sell that property. Okay. And then you have to appoint guardian ad litems, and then that money that those kids inherit, or the portion that they inherit, that doesn't just go back to mom. What ends up happening is that it probably, more likely than not, the court will make that go into a conservatorship account or a trust account or something like that, and then that money cannot be touched until those kids turn 18.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In that specific circumstance, all things being equal, so that you don't have to take these extra steps, oftentimes it would be better to sell it, to go ahead and petition the court, have it sold out of the estate at that time, so then you don't have a situation where now you've got mom and the kids on title, because then if something happens, she needs to sell the property, she can't. If she has to refinance, she can't. And so that you run into more danger of a situation, because you're not talking necessarily a quicker process like just selling a house. Now you have to actually file an action with the court, get permission from the court, and get appointed conservator, and then having to manage all that stuff as you go.
So, much more complicated when children are involved.
Yes.
Attorneys recommended.
Yeah, well, you're probably going to have to.
Have to, okay.
Not so, you don't necessarily have to in the probate aspect, but anytime you start getting into the petitioning, the court, I really strongly recommend it, and some courts might make you do it.
Okay.